What's up, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Multiverse. Carlos, and I'm joined here today with Matt and Brad, like always. Matt, how's it going, dude?
I'm doing really well. How are you guys doing?
Good, dude. Brad, how are you?
Can't wait to talk about this. I'm really excited.
Yeah. So today, it's going to be pretty simple. There's not much news, so we're not going to get into any news or anything like that. We're just going to dive right in. We haven't been keeping up with like weekly episodes of like reviewing the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but we thought since this past episode, which was episode 4, was really strong, I would say, and there was a lot of good things that happened in it, a lot of really like big points that I think are going to be fun to like kind of talk about and dissect. We thought it was a good time to just jump in and kind of review it up to this point. And we're probably going to review it at the end of the season, or is it series? Brad, is it series finale? Like, is this, now just to be clear, is this like a one-shot series, or is this like WandaVision, or is this a full continuing thing?
I don't think it's been confirmed yet. I believe it's going to be just like a one-off. Like this is just going to be a one season thing. But I mean, obviously plans could change.
Okay, for sure. So yeah, we'll hit up on that last episode, which according to Brad is episode 6. And then once that episode's over, we'll give our review of the last 2 episodes. So without further ado, let's just kind of get right into it. Let's just kind of first start off with like our overall thoughts of episodes 1, 2, 3, 4 up to this point. I'll kind of just say that I thought it didn't. A lot of people were saying like, "Oh, it starts off slow." To me, it didn't start as slow as I thought. I thought comparing it to the most recent Marvel show, which was WandaVision, I thought WandaVision was a little bit slower, but it still had points in the story that were engaging and I really enjoyed, especially for the first 2 episodes. Episodes 3 and 4, things start to pick up and it starts to get kind of crazy. Overall, so far, I really just have enjoyed like the premise of struggling with identity, because I think there's a lot of that going on with Sam trying to figure out who he is, Bucky trying to figure out what's going on with him and who he is now. Because I think Zemo makes the comment whenever there are spoilers, in the club, that he's like, oh, it didn't take him that long to, quickly, go back to doing what he does. Or he tells them like, you're going to have to make sure that you look like someone that you say is gone or whatever it is. Right. So I love that there's this whole struggle of like identity. Who am I? How do I act now that I'm not that person anymore? I do like that you get to see a lot of dealings with Bucky's mental health issues. I think all the stuff that he's gone through is really powerful because he was doing a lot of really bad things, and just watching the repercussions of all that and how it's beating him down and how he's dealing with it's great. And I really enjoy the Flag Smashers. It's shocking, right? Like, of course, I like the people, the revolutionaries, but yeah, I like them as a villain. I like that they made it a group and not just one Flag Smasher like it normally is in the comics, if I'm correct, right, Brad?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, I think those for right now, just like my kind of overall quick thoughts, is just those are my main 3 things that I liked. Matt, how about yourself?
I'm in the same kind of thought process as you, Carlos. I'm really enjoying the show. Everything you said, I'm in agreement with. And one thing that I wanted to point out was, I think that what they're doing with Sam, showing that he's having these financial difficulties, is doing a really good job of making possibly similarities to veterans. People who go off and fight in wars and stuff, and they come home and they may not be getting treated financially the way that they deserve to be. And it really made me think of Vietnam veterans too, because when they came home from war, they were really underappreciated. They were really misunderstood. They did not get any kind of benefits that are in place now. So when they had that part of the show with Sam, it really made me think of that. And then I'm really enjoying Zemo. I think his character is great. Yeah. And I'm also loving the dynamic between Sam and Bucky too. I think they're kind of picking up where Captain America and Bucky left off, and Captain America and Sam left off, and they're not really missing a beat with that. So I'm enjoying that.
Yeah. Brad, how about you? How do you feel so far?
So as you guys already know, I've been kind of like the first one on this series, so I've been,
Yeah.
kind of hyped about it. I kind of had to, keep everything low key because you guys weren't watching it yet. But I'm really enjoying it so far. Depending on the resolution, I think I might even slot this one above WandaVision. That's how high I am on it. First two episodes, they were decent, kind of like WandaVision. They were just kind of, laying the groundwork, setting up like their little chess pieces so they can move around in future episodes. So I really enjoyed that. And then I also kind of like how I didn't even really catch on to Matt's point about like the veterans, but I feel like they've also been kind of doing like other like real world commentary or like parallels. I think it was in episode 2 when they're like walking out of Isaiah's house and they get pulled over by the cops.
Yeah.
And like, even if you're an Avenger, like you still get racially profiled in America. Like, so I thought that was it wasn't a cool scene, obviously, because that stuff happens like every day, but it was something that, people that can relate to, and it's, they're seeing it on screen. So I thought that was nice to see. And then also they kind of sprinkled in a couple other moments like that, so that was awesome. But yeah, just overall, I'm really enjoying it so far, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head that they're doing a lot of social like commentary or about like social issues, right? I think that's one thing I really appreciate about the series so far. It's taking these real life issues and showing that they can happen to pretty much everybody. The issues that the so-called refugees that have come back from the blip, what they're going through, right? I think that's huge because that's kind of parallel to what's going on right now with at the border with the people fleeing Central America, and they don't have anything, right? And they're coming to try to seek asylum. They're not being granted asylum. They're not being granted help. It's all these like things that in some way, shape, or form can connect to what's going on in real life. And I really appreciate how they're handling it. I think I also liked now we can kind of get into like what we liked about specific episodes. I think the nod to the second Captain America, or however you want, second super soldier in Isaiah, was really cool. I was really glad to see that. The fact that he's only the second person to come out of the super soldier program, not being changed or morphed or done something wrong, like have an issue with him, I think was powerful, especially since it is an African American man. And then hearing him talk about how they poked and prodded and imprisoned him for 30 years and did all these things to him, it was pretty terrible. And once again, it was powerful because it was like this guy who people would call a hero was treated like shit. And like Matt said, that seems to be like an overarching theme is this thing about like heroes, quote unquote heroes, not getting something that maybe we would all think they deserve, or the public perception of those people would be like, oh, they're good, they're an Avenger, they don't have to worry about these things, or they helped in Vietnam, they don't have to worry about these things. So I thought that was really cool. Another thing I like, obviously, Matt kind of touched on Zemo. His character's awesome, dude. I think Daniel Bruhl, that's his name, right? Daniel Bruhl. He's really killing it in that like role. It's, if I'm not mistaken, I'm very limited on my Zemo stuff. He's Zemo, but I think he's doing a good job of making it his own and adding his personality to it. Did you guys see him like of course everybody's seen the dancing thing, like and we got to the fact that people wanted it so bad, wanted more of it, that they released 30 seconds of him dancing. Was amazing, dude. I sat there and started like dying at his little moves. And he's great. He's a villain. He's kind of a dickhead. He's kind of an asshole, but I really enjoy anytime he's on screen. It's almost like now it's not a comparison, but it's almost in the vein of Colonel Hans Landa from Inglorious Bastards, where it's that like thing. He has a thing about him where anytime he's on screen, I just want to hear him talk more. So yeah. Any other little things you want to talk about, Brad, like specifically that you liked in any episode?
The fourth episode, which was probably my favorite of the whole series, there was of course they did the Dora Milaje, Black Panther tie-in, which I think that was so well done. At the end of episode 3, like when Bucky's like walking down that little corridor, and then like he starts seeing like the little balls, and I was like, no way, this isn't gonna happen. And then sure enough, Ao shows up. So yeah, I thought the scene in episode 4 with the Dora Milaje, that was a great scene. There was a couple things that really stuck out to me. One was like when they're done fighting, and then the Dora Milaje soldier, she like kicks up the shield, and like it goes onto her hand, like Cap did when he was in Winter Soldier. It was Winter Soldier. And then the other one was when they like do Bucky's pressure points, and then they like drop his arm off. So I'm hoping Rocket Raccoon is watching this series, and like he does that in like a future movie, and then like runs off with Bucky's arm. But yeah, so those were a couple things just from episode 4 that I really enjoyed. I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but in episode 2, going back to how you were talking about with Isaiah, Eli Bradley was the son or grandson, I think it was.
Yeah.
But he is actually one of the Young Avengers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so he's going to be, I believe, Patriot, if I'm not mistaken. I think he either goes by Patriot or Lieutenant America in the comics.
Cool.
So they're kind of, not checking off the boxes for the Young Avengers. We got America Chavez coming in Doctor Strange 2. We've already had Wiccan and Speed. So I would think Young Avengers is on the way at some point.
Yeah, well, to kind of add on to your legacy characters thing is Joaquin Torres, who is the guy who's working with Bucky, who's a part of the military. He's in the comics. He's eventually takes over the Falcon mantle, and so I think that's another cool thing. Like when I heard that he was going to be in it, and that's the character he was playing, I was like, oh, that's cool. What's this character? Went to go research it and find out that that's who he was playing. I was like, oh, okay. So maybe eventually somewhere down the line, we're going to see him as Falcon. So I thought that was cool. I mean, obviously you guys know me. I'm big on Latino representation. So when I saw that, I was like, dude, yes, make him the Falcon. Cause he seemed, if you guys saw too, he kind of seemed interested in like the Redbird stuff, when he wanted to help Sam kind of fix it. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. Matt, you got anything, any few points that you were kind of interested in?
Just to further carry on what you guys were talking about, it really seems like Marvel is setting up themselves for the next 30 years while DC is struggling to make one good movie. So, I mean, Marvel is just hitting the nail on the head with everything they've done. But two things that I definitely wanted to point out that I really appreciated is in the episode where we kind of start to see the new Captain America kind of break down in a sense, and we can see his characters kind of losing touch of reality. One thing that I noticed that I thought was really cool, and I don't know if you guys picked up on it either, was Hoskins. There was scenes when the new Cap would say something, and Hoskins would look at him concerned, like who? What did you just say? Who are you? And I thought that was a really good job of the actor to kind of portray that, because it's showing that he is kind of not recognizing his best friend, someone that he served in combat with, and he's seeing him become this different person that he's not used to. So I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but that was something that I noticed in some of the early scenes from episodes 3 and 4 of when, the new Cap is kind of just starting to lose touch with who he is. And then to further that, I don't know if we discussed it or if it was just something I saw online, but there was really reminded me of the quote that Erskine said to Steve Rogers before he became Captain America. And he was like, the reason why you were chosen, because a strong man who has known power all his life may lose respect for that power, but a weak man who knows the value of strength and knows compassion. And I think that it's a perfect dynamic between Steve Rogers Captain America and then this discount Captain America, because here's a guy who wasn't successful, wasn't top of his class in every single thing he did, and he really represented what Captain America should be. And then you have this new Cap who won all these awards, and then we later find out that maybe the way he won those wasn't the best, but he really is kind of becoming the bad things that Erskine was afraid somebody would become by getting the super serum. So that was something that I really liked, is how they're showing kind of the two sides of what Captain America could be, depending on who takes up that mantle.
Yeah, let's just get this out of the way and start talking about him. As soon as he showed up, I text all you guys, fuck him. I hated him. I automatically got like the scumbag vibe from him. I knew where this is going. And I know a little background on the character John Walker too from the comics, so I had some background knowledge on him. Wyatt Russell does a good job of playing him. I got to give it up for him. He's doing a great job. And dude, every single time he was on screen, I was like, dude, you're not Steve Rogers. You are not Steve Rogers. He did not choose you. You should not be wearing the shield. I had all this emotion in me that was so like, oh, dude. And, I felt like Bucky felt. Like, you can see it in Bucky's eyes. Anytime they were around him, it was like you could feel the fucking daggers shooting from Bucky's eyes, dude. And yeah, I think that is super interesting. And I don't think we talked about it, Matt. That whole conversation that what's his name? What was the doctor's name?
Erskine.
That whole conversation kept popping into my head as you're like in episode 4, as you're seeing him do all these things and start to think this way. It popped in my head that I was like, oh crap, like that conversation was important even now, right? Because there's that one time where he says, not a perfect soldier, but a good man. And like that makes a difference, because you can see what a perfect soldier is. It's John Walker, right? He has all these medals. He's done all these quote unquote great things for his country, and he scored the top of everything. But sadly, he's not that good of a man, and he won't be that good of a man compared to Steve Rogers. And so I had a question, and Brad, you might be able to answer this. The serum, according to Erskine, amplifies everything within the person. Within, why is his name? Red Skull, it amplified the evil that was within. With Steve, it amplified all the good that was within. Now we're seeing within Carly and John kind of the effects of what's going on with them taking the serum, right? So do you think it's amplifying Carly's like radicalism? Do you think that's kind of what's coming through with her kind of taking the step and doing maybe something that, exploding that building, right? And saying that, oh, they would only, this is the only thing they respond to. And her kind of constantly escalating things. Do you think that's a product of the serum? And how do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I would say that that's a product of the serum. I also think, just kind of a prediction, I don't think that she's going to be the bad girl for like the entire series. I think eventually she is going to flip. But so I think that the serum, I think it's amplifying the good in her, because we've seen the good in her in this series. That's why she's kind of such a complex character, in my opinion. They've kind of taken like the Killmonger route with her, in my opinion. Like you can see the way that their plan, like they want it to work, and you can see why they're doing it, but you just don't always agree with how they're doing it. Like Killmonger, he wanted to spread all this technology to the world because, he felt that it would benefit the world, but he just went about it the wrong way. And Carly, I feel like she's kind of doing the same thing. So that's why she's a really complex character. And I think eventually she's going to end up becoming on the good side. And John Walker, because actually the full quote of Dr. Erskine, it's the serum amplifies everything that is inside. So good becomes great, bad becomes worse. This is why you were chosen. So I think that Carly, she did have some good in her. So I think it's going to amplify that. And John obviously did not have some good in him. He had some really ugly traits, and we saw how that played out at the end of the episode. So I think it's going to kind of create like a divide over the last 2 episodes, and each character is going to kind of trend upward and downward.
Yeah. Matt, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with Brad. And, even in the show, Sam says, I agree with what you're fighting for. I just don't agree with how you're fighting it. And to further what Brad was talking about, I don't think Carly is going to be the main villain. I think it's either going to be Power Broker, or I think it's going to be Walker turning into, maybe an evil Captain America. And there was something I saw about who the Power Broker could be. And I don't know if you guys are okay with me talking about a possible rumor or just a fan theory. I don't know, Carlos, you seem kind of hesitant as to me dropping this. So, or are you cool if I throw out something that might... So I saw online somebody had the idea of what if the Power Broker was the girl that was helping them, Sharon Carter. What if she, in her time in this new place, kind of took up this new position? She's angry at what happened to her, and she kind of wants to get revenge, or she just wants to, get hers. And by doing that, she became an evil character and became the Power Broker. So that's something that could happen in the last 2 episodes. But I definitely, in general, agree that I don't think Carly is going to end up being the main villain of the series.
Yeah, I was really intrigued by like Sharon Carter having a look like a comeback and seeing her character again and seeing how her life has changed. To me, made her a little bit more interesting than previous iteration in the MCU. So I'm glad she kind of doing her thing. And to your point, Matt, I mean, maybe because at the end of that like little thing after, I think it was like episode 2 or 3 when Zemo killed the doctor, we see her kind of get away and hop in like a really nice car. And I don't remember the exchange to the driver, but she does have like this exchange. It's like a little ominous, I guess you could say. It's a little ominous in kind of the way she's talking. So who knows? Maybe that would be pretty interesting if it ends up just being her because of all her connects and all her money that she's gained. I am just really intrigued about where it's going to go. I really like. Some people were complaining about Carly as a character, not feeling her. I really like her. I think she's a great character. And I when I text you guys that I like the Flag Smashers, Brad, you were like, I figured you would, right? Because that's just my style. I'm really up for, hey, sometimes you have to make things happen if you really want to help people. Waiting for things to kind of just waiting for the system to help you isn't always the best. And I think she's going about trying to do something good, but the way, like you guys have all said, the way she's I was on it until the explosion. Then I was kind of like, oh shit, like, hey, relax. We don't need to kill anybody. You guys were doing good, just robbing some like rich ass bank and taking their money and taking all these supplies. That was it. Just leave those people there. Whatever. They suck. I get it. They're part of the system. They suck. Just go. And, seeing her blow them up, I was kind of like, shit. So I do really enjoy their characters. I'm curious how it's all going to play out with her and the Power Broker and all that stuff. If we're even going to get to see the resolution of that, that's another thing, right? Because we've seen several times in these Marvel shows already with WandaVision where a seed is kind of planted and then we kind of don't see it resolved. So, yeah, John Walker, really, really hate that guy. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how we're going to see it. Is there anything that you kind of maybe wished was better, or is there anything that you don't like to this point, or hope they improve on in the last 2 episodes? Anything at all, Brad? You being the big Marvel fan, or the bigger of the Marvel fan between us 3?
I mean, I don't really have too many complaints. I would say one is I'd like to see Isaiah's story see the screen a little bit more, because I thought Isaiah and Eli too. I mean, Eli, you just kind of saw him for like a brief glimpse. So I'd like to see if maybe they're gonna dive into his character a little bit more in this series. And then of course, Isaiah, I'd like to see maybe him, reemerge in another appearance. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I'm really happy with the show so far. I really don't have any complaints.
Yeah, same here. Matt, what about you? Anything at all, maybe story wise, that you'd like to see?
Honestly, story wise, not really. I kind of really love what they're doing with it. And, I hope there's things, as Brad said, that they get into. But my only real complaint, and it's probably just me nitpicking, is I felt that some of the humor in the first few episodes was a little forced. Like the one scene where Sam and Bucky are talking in front of his therapist, and they have that whole like moving forward with the chairs. I don't know. Just to me, I thought that was a little forced. And like, I understand why they were trying to make that funny, but for me, I just didn't find it funny. So that's really my only complaint about the show. But other than that, I think it's great.
Yeah, I kind of had that same feeling where I was like, oh yeah, it's all right. It's kind of funny, but it didn't. Yeah, I mean, I could see that, Matt. Me personally, I'm really surprised that there's not anything I'm nitpicking too much. I don't think there's anything for me to be like, oh, I don't like this, or I just hope we get to see if this is only a one season series. I hope Sam reclaims the shield somehow, because it was given to him.
Not Bucky.
Bucky has made it clear. No, I love Bucky, but I think Bucky has his own path. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of why Steve chose Sam, because Bucky has these things that he's dealing with, all these issues, and not to say he's not a good man, but he has to charter his own path and go his own way. And I know that's kind of what Sam's feeling too, that he's not Captain America. But I feel if you're chosen by the original Captain America, there's a reason for that. So I would like to see maybe he doesn't use it yet, but I would like to see him get it back.
So I just looked up. Sorry to interrupt, but I just looked up whether or not there's going to be more seasons, and according to denofgeek.com, the Falcon and Winter Soldier season 2 is unlikely. Anthony Mackie confirms. So it looks like Falcon himself is even saying it's probably only going to be one season.
Interesting. So do you guys think them two characters are going to be in future movies? What do you think?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, just because the one thing about like the shield, I think the last episode really kind of like illustrated that. Like, despite not having the shield, Sam is he's so much more of a Captain America than John Walker is. Just like the scene with him and Carly, and like how he was talking to her. It was such a good scene. And like it really illustrated like the difference between the two characters. And like that's Captain America. Like, yeah. John Walker, jumping out the window and then running into public and like murdering that guy. That's the farthest thing from Captain America. So, and by the way, that was a fantastic scene. Like the end shot of him, like the pan with the blood on his shield. That was money. But yeah, so I think hopefully Sam is going to don the shield at some point in the series. Because in the trailer, there's actually a scene where him and Bucky are like out in the countryside somewhere, and they're like tossing the shield and like practicing throwing it into a tree. And we haven't seen that yet. So either that's just like a misdirection on Marvel's part, or we're going to, at some point, they're going to steal the shield back from John and take some practice swings with it.
Yeah. And when Brad just mentioned when Sam was talking to Carly, that reminded me. Something that did bother me in that episode is right before Walker interrupts them, he's talking and like pacing. He's like, "Oh, this is taking too long," blah blah blah. And Bucky's like, "Just calm down. Like, give Sam his 10 minutes or whatever we agreed upon." And then the next scene, he's like interrupting. I was just like confused. Like, did Bucky just let him go in? Like, did he just like? To me, it was just like, how did that happen? Because obviously Bucky is a lot stronger than Walker at this point because he didn't get the super soldier serum yet. So like, did he just let him go in? So that part I just thought was a little, maybe they could have written that scene a little bit better. But I do agree with Brad. I do think that there's just too much with these characters to not continue after these last two episodes.
Yeah. And I think what they insinuated, Matt, in that like thing you were talking about is the that he somehow got swayed by John Walker telling him, like, that's your partner in there,
All right,
you
well,
don't
then
want him to
Bucky's
get hurt. Yeah, and that, to me, it's like, I think about it like, if Steve was in there talking to someone, Bucky wouldn't have intervened at all, right? Because he would have known Steve would have been fine, right? And so I'm wondering if maybe because they haven't been together for that long, that's like they haven't built that trust yet. And that's just like a headcanon thing. That's like the way I'm trying to rationalize it to myself. I'm glad you brought that scene up though, Brad, of him and Carly talking, because I think that was super powerful, right? Somebody pointed out that not only did he do a good job of like the words that he used and how he talked to her, like Sam was very respectful, and you can tell he was constantly like de-escalating how she was talking, like, and he was very calming and got her to just kind of relax, because if you saw, she went from like standing and like a certain pose, there was a lot of body language going on too, like, she was standing and kind of like defensive, and then when he started talking, she started to relax. You see her shoulders drop, and then you see her sit down, right? And then you see Sam kind of turn his back to her, and somebody pointed out, like, you see that in the body language, the fact that he's trusting her to not hurt him while he has his back turned is huge. It was a huge scene, and I really, really enjoyed watching the dialogue. And I thought, like you said, Brad, it showed that, like, hey, this is a Captain America. This is who it should be. Super soldier serum or not, this is your guy. And I really enjoyed it. And not to tie back into DC, but Jesus, like, how well does Marvel do the idea of like Captain America compared to how DC does the idea of Superman? Marvel has been able to nail it with Steve Rogers and now Sam Wilson, and DC can't even get Clark fucking Kent right. Holy shit, it frustrates me, because I'm like, dude, this is everything that Superman is, everything that we're talking about right here. He would talk to these people before beating the shit out of them. But anyways, I digress. It was a great moment, and I really enjoyed it. Anytime Sam was on and talking like that, it was money. I thought he's killed it. He has killed it. Any other little points you guys like to add, or anything you remembered? Because usually sometimes we forget about shit that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and you have brought up like the future of the series and like the future of the characters. So Matt brought up Sharon possibly being the power broker. I personally don't think it's going to go that route, just because of the timeline of everything. Because Sharon went off the map, if I'm not mistaken, around 2016. 2018, I think it is. And I think this series takes place in 2024, if I'm not mistaken. So that's only 6 years. So I just find it hard to believe that Sharon's become like a massive crime lord in like the span of 6 years.
Okay.
But I definitely think the power broker is going to be a person of significance. I've seen other people online say maybe it's going to be the Mandarin, which would be definitely an interesting tie-in, because we have Shang-Chi coming up and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So that would definitely be an interesting way to kind of like bring everything together. Or the other theory I've seen, because I don't know if you guys know, but there's going to be a cameo in episode 5. And it's going to be a new character that's grounded and that the showrunner would like to see interact with Thor. So I was thinking maybe it would be Red Hulk.
Huh. Okay. So like a new version of Red Hulk, or Thunderbolt Ross?
No, the same version from the Ross.
That would be interesting. I mean, damn. Yeah, I didn't know. So who said that it would be someone he'd like to see interact with Thor? That was like the writer or the director, creator guy?
The showrunner, I believe.
Showrunner? Shit. Yeah, I don't know who on that level would be able to. That one makes sense, I guess. Huh. Because what did happen to Ross afterwards? Do we really know?
I think the last we saw of him, and I may be wrong, but the last I can remember off the top of my head is in Civil War. He was that like holographic having that conversation with Tony Stark. And he was the holographic, whatever it is. I don't think we saw him again after that. I could be wrong. I mean, we've had so many great Marvel movies. Sometimes it gets confusing where some of the side characters end up, but I think that's the last we saw of him.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, that would be cool. I have one last question for you both. And it's the question that Zemo asked Sam. If you had the opportunity to take the serum, would you do it?
I would. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
I trust in myself as to who I am as a person, that it would amplify the good in me, and I wouldn't become corrupt by its the powers that it imbues in the person. So I would take that opportunity. I've always made the joke that if I could have any career, it would be a vigilante. So hey, if I can get these powers, that would help me out. So I mean, I would take it if given the opportunity.
Yeah. What about you, Brad?
Wait, so like in this scenario, am I Sam? Like, do I have like a badass jetpack? I'm just me.
Yeah. Would you do
Brad?
Yeah, probably. Like if I was Sam, no, I wouldn't, because like I feel like Sam's like constitution and like his character like is built upon like having that grounded like personality or like grounded power. But me, yeah, I'd take it. No questions.
What about you,
Damn.
Carlos?
I'm the only one of the three that I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take it, and it's not because I think I'm some fucking like badass and I got fucking moves, because I don't. I'd get knocked the fuck out in a fight, and that's why I don't fight. But I think there's a lot of stuff that I'm still working on as a person. There's a lot of things that I'm still going through, and still like mental health things that I want to get right. And I think the being imbued with the serum would amplify enough of that stuff that I'm trying to work on that it wouldn't be good. So I would, let it be whatever. I'm not super. I'm cool. Matt gonna be a vigilante. Brad's just gonna be chilling, all buff and strong and shit. Like, you guys would be cool. I'm good. I'll just be trying to be revolutionary without no damn powers and see how far I can get. But yeah, anything else you guys want to hit on? Brad, anything want to hit on before we go? Did we forget about anything?
There was one thing that I wanted to hit on. Just like this episode was so dark, that I really hope that they lean into that for the rest of the series. Just because I, if I'm not mistaken, like this was probably like the darkest moment we've seen in the MCU. I mean, Captain America bludgeoning someone to death in public and like having blood on his shield. That's pretty dark. So one, I hope they lean into that with for the rest of the series. And two, it gets me really excited for Moon Knight, because like Moon Knight's a really dark character. And that was kind of like the one thing that I was worried, like, is Marvel going to be able to like really lean into that like dark, because he has like dissociative disorder. So like he has multiple personalities, and it's like mental health, and he's a really dark character. So just that episode made me really excited for that series as well.
Yeah, for sure. Matt, anything?
No, I think we covered everything that I had to bring to the table for this episode.
Okay, for sure. I did want to mention, I don't know if you guys have seen like those memes going around about like it's Captain America, it's Steve Rogers and John Walker next to each other, and it's like what America says it is, and then like what America really is. I was like, damn, that is, if that isn't the truest shit, I don't know what is. That is crazy. But yeah, Brad, that scene where he's just bashing that dude's face in, that was tough. That was tough to sit there and like get through. And obviously they didn't show, like, you don't get to see the dude's like what I'm assuming is his mangled face or anything, but you see like the blood dripping off, you see his shield covered in blood. Like, imagine how bad Bucky and Sam felt seeing the shield like that. You know what I mean? Like, dude, they are probably so fucked up by that. And I did I forgot to bring this up, and I'm glad I'm remembering it now. I really like have felt for Bucky in this series, because anytime like he brings up or someone brings up Captain America, Steve Rogers, you can see the kind of like hurt in his eyes. And for me, it's just like every single time I feel so bad for him, dude, because you can tell how much he, cared for him. And I just wish, like, I wanted to see them on screen so bad again. And the fact that we're not going to get it, I guess, pays off in the emotional responses that we get. But yeah, watching Bucky go through this stuff and, them bringing up Steve Rogers just was like, it was emotional. It was emotional.
And him trying to atone for what he's done too. So it's not even just that he misses his best friend, but now he's also trying to accept what he's done and make up for that.
Right. Yeah, I think that's big. And not having like Steve there, because Steve would have been so encouraging, so with him every step of the way. And yeah, I think it's a really deep series, and I've really enjoyed it so far. Like, you guys were shocked at how quick I got through like the first 3 episodes. But it was just because I was like in it, dude. I was like, dude, all right. Like after the first one, I was like, dude, this is right up like my alley. Like this is perfect. So I was like, keep going. But yeah, I can't wait to see the last 2 episodes. If that's all we got, then we'll just end it right here. Thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate your guys' support. Please go check it out on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff, Anchor. And just let us know what you guys think of all the episodes. You can follow us on Twitter at IT Multiverse. I always get that wrong. And just go ahead and shoot us a quick comment and let us know what you think. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.
See you next week.
See you guys.